Okay, the next section is this gorgeous part. There's two of these. You have to make two of these hatches, and these go on the side of the ship, so these will be like your access doors, I believe, for boarding. We have this piece, which is W9. We have this triangle piece, which is basically the door, which is W6. And this is going to slot on the back where these 3 pins are. So again, because it's 3 pins, you can't really mess it up. That goes into there. And then on top of that, we have L14 sprue L1, but part 14, sorry. So it's like these weird handle shapes, and then they go up there. And we have the same piece again, which would be L1 sprue, but part 14. So there's 2 parts on the same sprue. That goes at the bottom of the door. So basically that would probably be the actuators for the door to open up and close on itself. Then we have this funny looking little piece. Looks like a gun, but it's actually a handle. This goes this way around, and this slots into this little notch. And then we have these pieces here, which go up and down on one another, and they sit in the front of the door. So yeah, so that's nicely, so that's the detail for the door. So it's going to take a nice wash and it's going to come out nicely. So I say we've got one more of these to do. Next step for these doors, just make sure you got it the right way around. You have these 2 segments, these weird shaped triangle pieces. They're both the same. They're both on L sprue. One's piece 10 and L sprue piece 11. And they correspond to the side of the ship. There's 3 pins, so you can't really mess this up. And they go into these 3 pins. And then this one goes into here and here and makes up the door. Next section around the door, we have these pieces here which correspond to WB sprue, and this is P14. We have WB12, WB13 and WB11. So again, these are going to correspond to the outside of the door. So again, these are got these weird pins, and you can't really mess this up. Just follow the instructions and do it in the order they require, and then you have no issues. Just make sure everything's press fit tightly, and this makes up the outer door. I am going to glue these parts on because they are popping off a little bit. I'm not happy with that, but I'll just, some parts are perfectly fine and some parts are just a little bit looser than they require, so small dabs of glue here and there just puts it together nicely. And so like I say, there is 2 of these to make. Okay folks, the next section of the doors, like I say, we have built 2 of these now, which are pretty much identical, so there is no left or right. The part numbers are sprue L1 and sprue L2, but the part numbers are the same, so when you build them up they are exactly the same. So the next part is the actual framing of the door. So we have this large piece which comes as one part, and this is WB10, and then there'll be a WB11 which is for the other side. So once you've done it, you've got this large door which you built up. You've got these two large tabs, large and small. You can't mess it up because it's going to correspond to the part on the back, so it's a case of just pushing it in. Just like so. And then you have these funny looking fins. You want the detail on the inside facing like this. So, and again they're keyed, small and large keys, and they just slot on the inside of the door. Like so. So we're going to repeat the process again on the other side, because you need two of these and they're both on the side of the ship. Okay folks, next section is this piece here, which is some kind of, I don't know, another kind of hatch possibly, which sits at the front of the ship here, which sits on top of the front part of the landing gear. So it's these three segments here. This is moulded as one piece. This is G5. This piece at the front is G8. This square piece with the detail is G9. So we've got this way around. To turn it round, and then just to make sure it's the right way round. So inside we have two large pins and two smaller pins, and they correspond with these pins on the front, so you can't really mess this up. You shouldn't. If it doesn't fit, you find with Bandai, generally that means you've got the parts in the wrong place. That's how good of a kit is. If you've never built a Bandai, which I've never had, this is my first Bandai, why it's taken me so long to get around to building one, I don't know, but I've missed out. This superb kit is going together absolute lovely. And this piece here, G9, goes on here. So again, lovely detail. Couldn't tell you what this part is for the ship, but this looks like a transmission from a tank, and filters and just all different weird parts. But it's strangely clever how all gribbly parts are done from kits, and they're just kit bashing, and to build this ship it's just crazy, but it's good. And this section is going to go on the front of the ship. Okay folks, the next section is all of these detail parts. These segments make up the rest of the side of the ship, which will go round here and here, which fill in the side of the ship. So when you close the lid, these basically are all the side walls. So we're going to nip these off, and then there's a couple of detail parts just to add to this slightly as we go along. Okay, the first section of the sidewall is this large chunk with detail on it, and then you've got two large notches and two smaller notches, and the parts that go into those are these pieces here, and they look like suspension arms for Sherman to me. So the two small ones are here, a little bit on the fiddly side, these ones. So that's them pieces in. Just make sure you got them facing downwards, because the instructions, they look like they're up but they're not, they're down. And then these ones up here. Next section is Y7, and then we have Y1, which goes into here, and it goes into this notch. Just like that. So once you've built these two sides up, these two sides are going to correspond to one another, and they're going to lock in, and they're going to sit side by side on the side of the ship. Next two pieces for the side of the ship. It's this piece here, which is Y13. This smaller piece is going to be Y15, and this gets put into these two notches, and it corresponds just like this, and that's that piece complete. Next section is this part of the side ship. This is wire 11, and then we have this small piece which is wire 39, which is going to go on the side here, just like so. So a tiny dab of glue just to hold this one into place. And then you want this bar locking piece as well, which is a J36, and it corresponds with these two notches at the bottom. So just carefully put these in without breaking them. Again, just tiny bit of glue here and here, just to hold them in place because they're quite fragile. Next piece we have, which looks like this part of a winch or some sort, or generator piece, I'm not 100% sure. This is wire 14, and it goes into these two notches here. Again, it's kind of keyed, it faces downwards. This goes into there. And then we have these pieces here, which is J44, which is looks like an A shape frame, and that goes into this notch on the front here, just like so, sticks upwards. So again, nice detail. You can see there's more tank parts on there. There looks like a hatch from a Sherman or German tank with a wheel in the centre of it. Just lovely done. Next three parts is for the side of the ship. This piece here requires no detail, it's just wire 12 on its own, so this can go to one side. This piece here is wire 4, which sits near this end, sits towards the loading hatch, or the hatch for the crew, which are these segments here. So this sits at the side of the ship, and then this butts up against it. And then again we have this small detail part to attach, which goes into these three holes. It's like a A-frame again. This just simply goes into there, and that piece is complete. And so now our next step is to attach all of these segments to the side of the ship.